What's a vampire's favorite class in ESO? Well, it's the necromancer. What's going on, everybody? Sorry for the delay, but we're inside the Infinite Archive, inside of Apocrypha. Again, this is a free-to-play zone. A lot of people think that you need Necrom. You do not need Necrom to go to the Infinite Archive. We talked our first Defiler Ul. Now, again, all of these vendors rotate from Tuesday at 10 a.m. to Tuesday at 10 a.m. of the next week. You might be thinking to yourself, Jake, why is it taking you so long? And I'm sorry, guys. Work was really mean to me today. No, it was just a long day. We start with our first lead, which is the Bespoke Mirror-Etched Base. If anybody tells me that's pronounced differently, you can fight me in the comments below. Apparently, it's not here. So let's pull this up real quick. Here it is. This is the lead that you guys will get. Now, it normally drops from Miramore Incursion group events. Now, farming these incursions is still relatively easy because a lot of people are farming them. But this is one of those leads that if you want it, I wouldn't wait forever to do it because once Westweld is not the newest zone anymore, people are not going to be there and as farming as much anymore. I mean, look at places like Harrow Storms. If you have a lead that comes from a Harrow Storm, it can be pretty annoying because not that many people are spending time there. And while things like the High Isle Vents or Dragons are a lot more profitable, unfortunately, the Westweld ones really don't have that same level of profit to them. This is a lead that you probably want to get sooner rather than later, but you don't necessarily need to buy it. I know what you're thinking. Jake, Torque Stand of Power? No, they're freaking teas. This is from the freaking Torque of Tonal Constancy, and it comes from freaking Deshawn World Bosses. This isn't the Torque of the Iliad King. It's the stupid Torque. The Torque of the Tonal Constant, whatever, you know. This Mythic, significantly worse, in my opinion, than the Torque of the Iliad King. I mean, it's a fine Mythic. We rated it, as a decent one, but you're not going to spend 5,000 Archival Fortunes to not farm Deshawn World Bosses. That would be a really cattywampus way to spend your time. Like, whoa, you know what I would rather do than kill World Bosses? Kill Infinite Archive Bosses. That'd be a little silly of you. But if you've been bummed out so far, rejoice, because Valken Scoria, this shoulder right here, is actually probably one of the most valuable shoulders in the game. Shoulders have to look really cool to be valuable, just because, a lot of people aren't as focused on their shoulder. They're focused a little more on the head and the chest gear. That's what the ladies look at first. They're not looking at your shoulder as much. It's like a belt. Who cares about the belt? But Valken Scoria, that's a good-looking shoulder, and it is reflective of that in the actual price. This is even after this vendor has been listing it. You can literally go and buy it right now with Archival Fortunes, 15,000 Archival Fortunes. It's still listed for multi-millions on PC. Now, is it worth quite that much? Probably worth a little bit less than $1 million, but it will go back up in value once it's not on the vendor anymore. 15,000 Archival Fortunes, it is untradeable, but it's a great value. This normally comes from City of Ash 2, and Valken Scoria, the helmet, is also really popular as well. So, I love me the Valken Scoria shoulder. It's a great suggestion for a pickup if you're looking for a really cool shoulder, because it's probably the most valuable shoulder. But if you know a more valuable one, put it in the comments below, because it's good fun to talk about monster styles. Then we have Storm Haven Treasure Maps. Thank you, Blazing J, for the subscribe. You're probably not here right now because I'm recording this offline, but if you're listening to me in my live studio audience, thank you. Storm Haven Treasure Maps, you could just skip them. Not worth 2,000 Archival Fortunes. However, 5,000 Archival Fortunes for some jewelry is a tantalizing offer. Now, a lot of people might think to themselves, why is jewelry such a good offer? Well, oftentimes you have things like weapons where you might get the trait that you want, but it's on the wrong weapon that you need. If you get jewelry, it's guaranteed to be a ring or a necklace. So if it's the right trait, it's at least on one of two options for you. So it's less gambling involved when it comes to the pieces because it's going to be one of two pieces. So I generally tell people gamble with companion jewelry. However, important to note here, ever since I have been making this suggestion, you've slowly seen jewelry pieces slide down in value because people expect, and they know, I can gamble my Archival Fortunes pieces for jewelry, so less people are going out and purchasing them with Archival Fortunes. So you're seeing a bit of a market difference as well. So as we continue to see the Infinite Archive vendor, just know that every so often it causes the actual value to slide just a little bit further. Now, if they release, new companions, that we'll see it jump back up again because everyone's going to deck out new companions, be rolling for different traits. But just food for thought. Next up, we have our books, The Littlest Tome Shout. Now, not to perjure whoever wrote this book, but literally, I have seen smaller books than this. And then we have the Visitor's Guide to Telvanni Peninsula is actually smaller than that book it is. So we look at the books every week so you guys don't all unsubscribe. So please subscribe. We're 2 subscribers away from the next 100 milestone. That was just kind of funny. Next up, we have our scripts, Savagery and Prophecy, Flame Damage, and Thieves' Swiftness. Now, the one that stands out here, you're probably thinking to yourself right now, Jake, I love Flame Damage. All those dirty vampires in Cyrodiil. Well, unfortunately, most people are not dirty vampires anymore due to the changes to Undeath. However, Flame Damage is still a pretty popular script. So that all being said, it's still a good one to have. Is it worth your archival fortunes? Probably not, unless you're wholly unlucky. Do your daily quests, play the game daily, and you'll probably have Flame Damage. That's what's so hard to recommend. Even when it's good for Infinite Archive, as a value, if you're farming the Infinite Archive, you're also probably completing daily quests that would allow you to have Flame Damage. So it's always a catch-22 of like a recommendation, because anybody I'd be recommending it to already has it. But it is a good script. So is Savagery and Prophecy. A lot of people sleep on it because you can get different bonuses and things from potions and whatnot, or from skills and things. But it still is a pretty good one to weave into abilities if you don't have easy access to it. Next up is a fragment. These fragments are guaranteed to be gained when you complete the associated task. And this one is actually relatively straightforward. The Fragment of Thorn, which you can see here, is just looted from Lady Thorn and Castle Thorn. Who would have guessed that that's where this drops from? So would you rather pay 5,000 archival fortunes than not have to kill Lady Thorn? You're probably going to have to kill Lady Thorn in the Infinite Archive naturally, because I keep seeing to getting her, and she's kind of annoying. And then we have our purchasable Runebox Fragment, and then we have our Unreliable Map, which drops from the Infinite Archive. 2 things that are pretty much never worth it. You can generally either buy them from the open market, or farm them from the Infinite Archive, and 7,000 and 4,000 archival fortunes. That's a pretty penny. Next up, we have our Chronicler. Now, this guy can be found inside the Scholarium, inside of Ivea. Now, this is a nice little vendor if you're interested in getting some scripts. A lot of people get confused by this vendor because they're like, Jake, all the grimoires at the top stay the same. That's true, they do. They don't change those. But you know what they do change are the scripts at the bottom. We have Defile. Sometimes you just gotta defile somebody. It just happens naturally when you play the game. Other times, you might need to be protected from the defiling. Then you have multi-target, class mastery. Now, class mastery, they're every week. And then Crusader's Defiance. Which ones of these are good? I do love Defile and Protection. I think that they're good ones to have. Now, neither of those are essential for any type of gameplay, like across a broad spectrum. But when it comes to getting scripts, you can already resell them if you get a duplicate for 999 gold. So if you're like, Jake, I don't have any of these. Well, if you get it in the future, you can get a good chunk of your money back, even if you don't have it, because these will cost slightly more. It's just good money for value, in my opinion, because it guarantees you getting something you don't have if you're buying it, you don't currently have it. So I love me some scripts. Definitely think that these are definitely worth buying, especially Protection and Defile. Multi-target's fine. Crusader's Defiance is good too. It's just a little bit more pricey. And we round off in the Lambient Passage. We are inside of the beautiful Imperial City. Now, if you've got Tel Var, you can go to this rotational vendor. I do also just want to showcase that we have the cat here joining us in her little cat bed on top of our stand. She's not actively trying to knock over the mic. And you can see we've got the gray sweatpants to impress the Riften baddies. But let us see what's in store for us with our Tel Var vendor here for us. And we start with Endurance, which funnily enough has a healthy version, an arcane version, and a robust version. Now, you might be thinking to yourself, Jake, is this a good set? Endurance is a weird set because it's a 3-piece set. So you're thinking to yourself right now, okay, what situations would require me or would I desire to use a 3-piece set? The answer is you're using the Marken Ring, which gives you extra set bonuses for having multiple 3+ set sets. And so generally you can get a higher bonus using the Marken Ring and some 3-piece sets versus just 2 5-piece sets. So in that situation, you want to use some good 3-piece sets. Is Endurance a good 3-piece set? Not really, because Health Recovery is just not good for PvP. Battle Spirit, the fact that Health Recovery is just not a resource that you're focused on. They're just better three-piece sets, unfortunately. So I mean, this set for what it is like a 6. It doesn't really fit into any type of content that you would need it to. Set that does, though, is Rallying Cry. Now, Rallying Cry, though, doesn't mean you run here and you purchase it instantly. We're going to talk about it first. While Battle Spirit is active, i.e. you're PvPing, when your healing critically strikes you and up to 11 other group members within 12 meters, you gain 300 weapon and spell damage and 1650 crit resistance for 20 seconds. However, that's reduced for each person affected by it. So, Rallying Cry is one of the staple PvP sets. It's 10 out of 10. The problem is that 100k Tel Var, that's pretty expensive. You can literally go and take your alliance points and just throw it at that there. Also, Mid-Year Mayhem is coming up soon. You'll also be able to buy Rallying Cry from the Mid-Year Mayhem vendor. So if you just wait till the end of February, you can buy this, I think, for what, 200 to 300,000 AP? Significantly more affordable, and most PvPers have easier access to get that, because most PvPers have more AP than they do Tel Var. So fantastic staple set, unnamed buffer. If you're just like, Jake, quickly, why is this a great set? Crit resistance, good. 20 seconds, long time. 300 weapon and spell damage, good. Lasts a long time. And it's easy to proc. And the nice thing about this too is that all of these buffs and things can be stacked with other things as well too. So that's why people sometimes say unnamed buffs versus named buffs. Unnamed buffs are better. If I gave you Minor Slayer, you can't have Minor Slayer again. If you have Minor Berserk, you can't have Minor Berserk again. So if a set gives you Minor Berserk and you already have Minor Berserk, you're not getting a benefit except the Minor Berserk, which you're now wasting and getting twice. So that's why unnamed buffs are generally significantly more sought after and an easy set to proc, like Battle Spirit, which gives you weapon and spell damage and crit resistance, is just notably one of the best to do so, especially for PvP. Well, for PvP, because Battle Spirit is active. Next up is the Band of Water. Now, when you Google this, it's the first thing is a Reddit page that's like, oh my gosh, this thing is so hard to get. However, it just naturally drops from a public dungeon boss in Badman's Hollow, which admittedly is kind of a really finicky public dungeon to go into. The bosses are just kind of scattered around. That being said, like, I wouldn't encourage you guys to spend, 25k Tel Var on this Bad Mamma Jamma. 25k Tel Var is about 75 to 100,000 gold on console, and even more on PC. That's a good chunk of change. And even if it does take you an hour to get it, is it worth, spending, an hour's worth of gold farming to get it? It could depend on you. If you have a lot of Tel Var, Ring of the Wild Hunt is one of the most popular mythics in the game, because it gives you speed. Increase your movement speed by 15% while in combat, and increase your movement speed by 45% while out of combat. You're like, Jake, I don't need to move faster. I'm an MMO player. It's like when you play Pokemon. You don't need moves that don't reduce the enemy's health. There's no status. You just want to reduce health. That's all that you care about. Well, I do just want to point out, a lot of people, mentioned this. When Gold Road came out, scribing, there was like 4 hours of questing that had to be done. You know what I did? Became a stage 4 vampire, slapped on Ring of the Wild Hunt. I sneaked past everything, got to the door, went to the next section. We were done. We were probably the first console player that had scribing unlocked, because we were just getting to places quicker, avoiding combat using stage 4 vampirism, and it was just a really easy experience. And so I think a lot of people sleep on that utilization. But do you want to save potential hours of your life questing? Ring of the Wild Hunt. Do you want something that makes it easier to farm overland items, like ingredients, raw materials? Ring of the Wild Hunt. It's actually even pretty good in PvP, because you can be faster than the people around you. Speed is good. Next up is another lead that if you Google it, people are like, does it exist? It does. It comes from Banished Cells 1 and 2. Now, this is actually a better question on if it's worth farming. You could see people are like questioning their sanity, like, it does drop, right? You guys pinky promise that like it'll come if we keep farming it. Yes, it will. However, 25,000 Tel Var to not have to run a dungeon on repeat, that's going to take you a long time, could be a decent value. And ironically, the Marken Ring, which we were talking about earlier, is actually a really good mythic. You gain 100 weapon and spell damage and 1157 armor for every three or more pieces of an armor set that you're wearing. It's a pretty decent value that you can get. It's very good in PvP. Weapon and spell damage, good. Unnamed. Armor, good. Really, the biggest drawback is you have to use some of those goofy 3-piece sets that we discussed earlier. So if you're looking for the Mark and Ring, this is potentially worth buying. The nice thing, too, is that Mark and Ring is a PvP mythic. So if you're going out and buying this with Tel Var, you're probably a PvPer, so you probably have Tel Var, which is good. Then we have Reaper's March treasure maps and all the rings of everything we talked about, all easy skips. Then we get Magisteel, Shock, and Wayfarer's Mastery. Yes, I recognize that it's called Magica Steel. I was doing it quickly, okay? And all of these are definitely skips. Even Wayfarer's Mastery, which is pretty good. It's going to cost you more if you don't have it unlocked already. It's just not worth that much in Tel Var. Just continue to farm those daily quests. If you're a PvPer, get your Cyrodiil daily quest, capture the keep, get the Elder Scroll, kill all 20, Dominion players, all in a ball group. Do all those little silly goosey quests, and you'll be well on your way. And if you're not a PvPer, your daily Undaunted pledges, make sure you're doing your Fighters Guild, your Mages Guild daily. Especially, a lot of people don't do their Mages Guild daily on characters that aren't maxed out in the Mages Guild. You can actually get through quite a few levels of getting through the Mages Guild just by doing the daily. So I would highly encourage you guys to do those, as well as the other Undaunted dude who's not a pledger. And then you could do your World Boss dailies, or your DLC zones, your Incursion dailies, which is either your Dragons, your Mirrormore Incursions, and then do the Delve inside the newest zone. Those are usually just pretty good money makers. Just getting in the habit of adding those to your daily routine will help significantly amplify your characters. Then we finish on the dreaded Fragment of the Winterborn. Now this could be a thick-un because guess what? You have to complete Spindle Clutch 2. Ooh, what a crazy wimbly-bimbly dungeon that you'll have to go and complete. Joking aside, relatively straightforward. It costs 25,000 Tel Var. I would spend 25,000 Tel Var to not farm something guaranteed to get it on normal. If it was like, Kynes, Aegis, or even Somerset, like, would I rather spend 25,000 Tel Var, or would I rather go find a group of people that are farming this specific thing, outside of when there's a specific highlight or reason to do so? Yeah, there are some situations that I would do it, but those are kind of sporadic. Spindle Clutch 2 is not worth 25,000 Tel Var. You probably could solo Spindle Clutch 2. But everyone, thank you guys so much again for watching. This has been our Tuesday vendor review, and I had lost my sanity at work today. So many field visits, so much hoopla, so much cattywampousness. It was literally immeasurable. That's why I'm so animated when I'm making this video. Usually I do these on my lunch break because I have at least 30 minutes to make a video and then put it onto the internet for all my people, my friends and peoples to see. And we didn't even have that. I did not eat until like 5:30 p.m. and that's where we broke out the grocery store chicken nuggets. It was that kind of day. So thank you guys so much again for watching. As always, we're doing our 3 giveaway drawings. All you need to do to enter is leave a comments below. Also, like the video. YouTube will recommend community members who like videos a lot and comment a lot. Second thing is just make sure you subscribe/follow on Twitch and Twitter. We'll be going live this Thursday, barring any hoopla, but thankfully it's supposed to snow, so the hoopla should be snowed in. And the third thing is look for a hidden word be flashed upon the screen. Last month, there were 2 hidden words. This month, who knows how many there will be. We've got some cool codes from Zoss, and keep an eye out for them. And I'll catch you later, guys. Peace.
You better remember to like and subscribe to Jakeclips. Or you should. I might have to pluck your eyes if you don't. Or, better yet, I'll skip rope with your entrails. Do it now. Subscribe. Ta-ta. Off with you.